questions, you have the chat on the right side where you can post your questions. If you have comments, questions, we will try to answer as much as possible if it's not already in the presentation. Do you hear us? Can you? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, good. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Sarah. Great, that works because we had a few technical challenges just before starting, as usual. We love technology when it works.
Yep. I'm trying to share the live. Oh, here we go.
Thank you, Cyril.
Okay. So if you have any technical issue or problems or logout or something, here is the live on Facebook. Okay, good. I'm checking the emails if there is something. No, okay.
Okay, I'm sharing also the story and I'm sharing also on LinkedIn.
Yes, I forgot LinkedIn. Oh, I forgot something. There we go. On Android system, yes. If you are on the phone, you have more. There is more problem when you log in with a phone. It's more stable on a computer, but it should be fine with the Facebook Live. And yes, the event is recorded also.
And
So,
it will be available on as all our webinars on the YouTube channel in a few
yeah, I can
days.
add the link. I will add the YouTube link. We post all our video in different languages there. Here we go. So you can check if you're interested for other subjects.
Yes, we already did this webinar also in French, so you can also find if you prefer French, and it was a little bit, content was a little bit different. Okay.
Okay. So grab something to drink because as usual, it will be a little bit long, even if we try to stay focused. But there is so many
I think I do
things
the same. I
to.
go take a glass of water because I
Yeah,
don't.
okay, go. There is a lot of things to talk about trauma. It's a huge subject. Normally, we should do it under 2 hours with your question when you have question part. Depends how long is the question answer part. Sometimes you have a lot of questions and a lot of very interesting discussion together. Sometimes it's very clear for people, and so we don't have question time. So depends. It's turned off automatically. Don't worry. And nobody will see your face or hear your voice or see your name, just your first letter normally. But I think we're ready. Francois, do you want to wait 2 minutes? Or
That's as always late. I give other people a chance also to come late.
okay, let's wait. Let's wait.
We see a few names from clients. Hi, Agathe. Hi, Nina.
You know some people there.
Yeah, some names. I don't have them all, but okay. Great. Moyen.
Moyenne.
It's always a pleasure to see also past clients coming, still interested in what we are doing. And yeah, Anik, nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, the chat is not only to ask question or to ask help if you have technical issue. It's always a place safe to chat between all of you. You can share your experience, your past things, your what you want, what you can share, any advice. It's also not only between you and us, but it's a safe space to discuss.
yes, yes.
We never judge, we always listen.
No, you don't see your face and you are muted, but the chat
It's
is
blocked
open. It's also
automatically.
about privacy, and we prefer it that way. In the software, yeah, we use it that way.
Yeah.
Hi, Nina.
Moyenne Nina.
Okay, I think it's 6:05, so I think we start now.
Yeah.
So welcome everyone on board. We are streaming, we are recording this event. We already did this webinar in French, but we wanted also to share our informations and experience with the English-speaking community, because what we do, we work almost every day with trauma. We have a lot of clients who have that topic. Even when they come to us, they don't know that is the topic. But yeah. So why are we talking about that? Because it's more common than we think, and we have experience with it. I just start who we are. My name is François Altwis. I founded Neurofeedback over 10 years ago. I scanned over 2,000 brains and trained over 1,500. So we have seen a lot. And I would say from these 1,500 trained brains, around 20 to 30% are really in, I would say 30% minimum are on the, which I call traumatized. I've been through the same way, and it was only the neurofeedback who got my brain back. So that's why I'm still doing it. And today I'm with Melanie, who is now almost 5 years with me, and she's neuropsychologist. And we have Lou, who joined us 1 year ago, and Patrick,
Yeah.
who is our optimization CEO
Guy.
since 6 months. He's the problem solver. I call him the problem solver. So, but he doesn't work with clients. So where are we located? We have really nice offices. We are in Luxembourg near the Gare. This is a co-working space called Silver Square Liberté, and it's accessible by also for people with handicaps, wheelchair, etc. We have one specific thing. We work a lot with clients, but we don't have a secretary to answer the call. So, but if you want to reach us, the best way to reach us is email, or if you want to talk with us, you can always take a free call, reserve a spot, and then we will call you at that time, and then we will be dedicated to you, because we have not the time to have someone just there for answer all the questions. That's why we're doing these webinars. So what are we doing? We are doing neurotherapy and we are doing neuropsychology. These will be explained furthermore. The question which may be interesting for who. So we classified this in our offer into 4 quadrants. First one is about learning and developmental disabilities. So this is typically the ADHD, but also autism, which will be our next webinar in French. But
Yes.
also we have a lot of high intellectual, high potential, high IQ people who have some other topics. This is the topic of today. This is the trauma, the stress, and the emotional distress. These are the things we work with every day, but we also work on more severe things like instability and brain alteration, migraine, headaches, neurodegenerative things, brain injury and stroke. This will be also one of our next webinars. I don't know in French or in English, but we will do it every month. We do every month a webinar. But you don't need to be sick to come to us. You can also come to us to improve already well-performing systems, or increase your resilience, or I would also call burnout and bore-out, which are topics. Yes. So I hand over now to Melanie.
My turn.
Just
Okay,
water.
so just a little introduction to put the context in. PTSD is not something new, but the term and the identification is quite new, I would say. But it's existing since antiquity, as we are people doing war and other stuff, I would say. We're not all kind and living in a pink world. But it was first taken seriously after the Vietnam War, the USA-Vietnam War, because they all the how do they call it? Not the veterans, the veteran. There were a high rate of suicide, and it was way more than the men that were dead during the war. And they were like, okay, there is something there, but we don't know what is happening. Why are all these men taking their life? And so let me switch. There is official data. When you look on the internet, on all the specialized mental health care, etc., they are like, okay, officially we know that there is 5 to 12% of people concerned by PTSD, but the reality is that there is way more. We found those number in different study. This is an estimation. And why is there such a huge gap? It's because, someone can't hear anything. I can hear anything.
Marzenka.
You can, okay. So there is a huge gap because a lot of people are misdiagnosed with other stuff, and less than half of them will ask for help. So there is a huge amount of people that won't ask, and so they will not see a doctor or a psychologist or a psychiatric and get a diagnosis. So that's why there is this huge gap between it. Or when they ask for help, the doctor always just focus on the symptoms. So you have a bad mood, or you're feeling stressed, or you're an anxious person, or you're a depressed person, but they are not making the link between all the symptoms that can be a sign of PTSD. And that's also the problem. We have a lot of people coming here, especially women, that they have a diagnosis of bipolarity, and it's not the subject at all. But yeah, and they are treated for bipolarity, etc., but it's not. And that's the most I think it's a huge problem, and we should consider more the PTSD subject before giving people psychiatric diagnosis, because they arrive to us and they have a less self-confidence, and they think they are crazy and they have psychiatric disorder, etc. But you can have them and with PTSD, etc. But it's really important to be able to make the difference. And we have a lot of people also that come here and try to understand their feeling, their symptoms, and it don't quite go with the diagnosis, and so they feel a bit lost. And usually it's a relief to know what's going on and what's happening and what they can do, because you can do something about PTSD.
Yeah, but it's often the problem is they learn to live with it, and they got different theories depending on who they consult, and it's not easy to accept it, because the normal answer we hear is, "Oh, but this is not so hard. Other people have more stressful things to happen to them." And that is not that's not the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
It's
compare.
not an exam trying to pass who have the more powerful event in life. It's more a question of resource everybody has, and DNA and family history. There is a lot of stuff. But yeah, we were quite shocked when we were looking about the data. In fact, the difference between the official and the reality one. But also we were almost unable, it was almost impossible to find data for Europe here. All of them were done in the USA. We have finally, after a day or two of research, found something, and it was quite awful, because normally if you just looked at the PTSD subject for the English studies or English speaking studies, there is a huge amount of them. But when you go to the Europe or to France or to other country, it's drastically coming down. And most of them are done after 2010. And it was taken seriously in France after the terrorist attack. And they were like, okay, there are people suffering from something, but they were not at the event at the moment, etc. And so they were like, okay, so we can suffer from PTSD without leaving the event. Okay, and so, oh yeah, even after the event, 6 to 18 months later, we can still suffer. Oh, and so now it's starting to be taken seriously a little bit more. But yeah, 2015, it's a little bit, it's way too late, way too late for Europe. So I hope this will keep going and be a subject that the medical people are more interested in and taking seriously. So
Yeah, but the chances are really small that your general practitioner, your MD, it's the chances are more that they will tip on anxiety, depression, or something else, insomnia, but they will not go for they are not trained to go for the trauma. Yeah.
So I see a questions about the 80%. I need to go back to the study, but in memory, I think it was how do we call that in English when it's un échantillon qui est
Sampling.
généralisé?
A sampling.
A sample that were generalized, and they were studying, they were coming from the possible cause. So when you take people that are experiencing accident, domestic violence, physical, sexual, all these possible cause, when you put them all together, it's a huge amount of people that are that it's possible that they are suffering from a PTSD form. There is the complex PTSD, there is a PTSD, there is a lot of them. So
I would just insist on one thing because we see it often, and it's the childbirth. The typically case is when the cordon umbilical, the Nabelschnur,
the umbilical cord is around the
the
neck.
umbilical goes around the head, and the child suffers hypoxia, which has damage, which makes damage on the brain, but not only, but the child person itself. So and everybody goes through that. Some people have a chance, and it's going easy, but this is one an overlooked one. Really.
And also adoption. People are always shocked, but adoption is a case of trauma for the kid. So this list is quite huge, and if we think a little bit about it, I think almost everyone has something to check in this list, if not multiple of them.
I can check almost every line.
Almost, also. So that's okay.
That's hard to hear.
Separation, moving, losing a friend can be really hard for some people, and lead also to a PTSD. Because what is important is the shock states that you go through during the event. It doesn't need to be as horrorful as it needs, but depends on everybody. So that is for the possible causes. I don't think we forgot something.
No, that's quite. I think everyone can take one of these lines.
Yeah. Okay, so just a little sentence to have a little philosophical moment. It's based on the book of Bessel van der Kolk. I don't know if some of you have already read it. The Body Keeps the Score. It's a really good one. I can just say, read it. If you are a professional or not, you will love it, understand it. It will answer some of your questions, and it's
very well written, and it's fascinating how the Bessel can teach so much knowledge for everyone at every level, and the book is still readable. Really read it. If you think you know someone, if you think you are concerned, you have to read this book. It came out 2016 and has been translated in over 20 languages. For me, it is the reference about there you will find also a lot of videos from him. So he worked a lot with different modalities. We come to that later on.
It was
he changed his approach.
It's the first time I read a book like that.
Bessel van der Kolk. This is the name.
It's amazing, because usually as a specialist in mental health topic, I get a little bit bored, or I'm annoyed because it's too easy to read. It's not going deeper. But then for other people, it's hard if you go into a more scientific book, because they don't understand the vocabulary and the language. And this one is perfect because it can conciliate both. I don't know how he was able to do that, but that's impressive. Really good book. Okay. So about the facet, we talk about the problem of the diagnosis of PTSD. Why? But because of the multiple symptoms you can have. You can have all of them. You can have just a few of them. It's different for everybody. If I see 50% with PTSD, and the brain will be 50 times different, and the consequences and the symptoms will be different, and also the intensity will be different, and the reaction. So there is a lot of this stuff. But the most common are sleep issue, with nightmare and stuff like that. Everything linked to emotional management is out, the mood. the stress, a lot of anxiety. Addiction is also a huge topic. Addiction, because we never
because
we
the
never
people
choose
try.
to go into addiction. There is always an origin of why you took
I
drugs, or why you drink alcohol too much, or why. There is always a reason. It's because you try to self-regulate your nervous system states with something better than doing nothing. So that's why, of course, suicide, of course, way higher in men than in women. Why? Because just remembering the Movember, men are less likely to ask help, because we teach them as they are kids that men need to be strong, don't have the right to be sad or to have feelings almost. And so women are more likely to ask for help, and they have less risk of suicide because they will ask for a therapist or something. So men, people, if you have kids, if you know someone, a man that is suffering, please helping help
the,
him to ask
the
help.
problem is the men who come to us. We have approximately 15 women for one man, and usual sentence, beginning sentence for the man is, "My wife told me to come,"
Yes, right. Yes.
and that is, yeah, that's a pity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because men are also suffering, and they have the right to admit it, and it's not a shame. And don't feel ashamed if you ask for help or if you do something. It's better for you and for people around. So, all right, symptoms. So that are the classical one, but again, not everybody is experiencing it or as bad as it looks like. I don't know if some of you are suffering from flashback, nightmares. The most common one is avoidance. People are avoiding the subject about discussion, something, an environment that is looking like the event, etc. That is the most common one because it's linked with anxiety. It's a survival mode state. With the hypervigilance, and also irritability is also a topic. When you have a lot of anger, it's not an anger management issue. Most of the time it's a protection, or it's covering anxiety or sadness states. That's the most common.
I think the most common is the sleep. That's where normally it starts.
Yeah, yeah. I just saw God bless the wives. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this one is new, this diapositive. It was not in the French version because it's brand new. It was from, it just share on the LinkedIn network and stuff like that.
It's from Ruth Lanius. I would just add a few sentences. Ruth Lanius is a clinician, an MD, who works directly with Bessel van der Kolk, and she is the one who applies neurofeedback for PTSD. And this is one of the best ever done studies. It's not easy to read. It
No.
goes no, but it is really dense, and it goes really, and it keeps saying the same thing that Bessel van der Kolk says, or explaining the traumas. But the key message of this book is, if you are concerned with the topic, if you want to get out, don't think that only one thing will help you go out, and don't try to do them one after the other. You need them to do together. There are three parts. There's the mind. This is more the talk therapy. There is the brain, which is also really affected by trauma. We will show you some examples. But there's the body, and normally you will, if you really want to have good results and get rid of the symptoms, you have to work on three levels. The best is the three levels together, if you can afford it and if you have the energy for it. But you cannot, if you miss one out, the symptoms will come back. So that's the
Yeah.
short resume of the paper.
That is the things you need to save in your memory for tonight. And I've done that. I've done psychotherapy with neurofeedback with Francois, and on the side, as I was having anger issue, I was doing some session of Krav Maga, for example, to get it out of the body, and was very, very, very effective. And now it's been, what, 4 years? No anxiety, no panic attack, no sleep issue, no memory loss or concentration difficulty. Like, my brain is working totally fine. Even if I have ADHD, concentration is not the best, but it's okay. I can function and work quite easily. So this one, yeah, it's really interesting, but it is hard to read. We were struggling with Francois to understand everything because it's a lot of neurology and stuff like that. But
For those who want to go deeper and to understand, it's really worth the time. It's one of the best studies I've seen.
yeah. So about the consequences of a PTSD. There is some in the brain, in the body, in the nervous systems. As Francois say, it impacts everything. It's not just an imagination problem. So first, neurological consequences are the change in some of the brain parts. So first, all of them, the three you see there, I will put my mouse on so you will see it. Where is it? Okay, I don't think you can see my mouse. There we go. So first, the amygdala is overreactive because of the intensity of the event. You remember I was speaking about a shock. When you're in shock state, the amygdala goes on and is very, very overreacted. They are here, both in red. It's like danger, hypervigilance. Whoa, what is happening? We need to do something about that. But the problem is that the intensity is so high for your system that it's totally shutting down the hippocampus here, and the prefrontal cortex is shut down. And so these two parts are not doing the usual job. So the hippocampus is normally needs to put the event in memory as a past event. It's like, okay, it's done. I can keep it or not in the memory. And normally the prefrontal cortex is here to put some verbalization on what was happening at this time and put some info on it, but it's not doing it. And so your brain is stuck and your nervous system in a state where the amygdala is always on and leading everything. And so it's like your brain is blocked in the event, like it's happening forever. And it's never going into a past part for the brain and the nervous system. And that's why there is the hypervigilance, the avoidance, your brain is constantly on defense mode, protection mode, like, okay, I'm ready now. And that's the problem. And it is responsible for a lot of symptoms. And also another thing they found is an overactivation of this small part in the brainstem that is normally involved in pain, defense, avoidance, reaction, etc., is too active. And so we have a lot of people with PTSD that have pain in the body or over contraction of the muscle. They're always tense. That's for a lot of people, it's a problem and it's painful. So we see also some biological consequences because of this neurological consequences. There is a huge increase of a lot of neurotransmitter. It's not for the good. The cortisol is, because of the amygdala overreaction, is always diffusing in the body. So you're always in an anxious state and it impacts your body. Most of the time people have digestion problem. It can also impact all about the reproduction, infertility, and it's not infertility, but it's linked to, it's blocking, because when the body is in protection mode and war mode, it doesn't have the energy to work on other body function. And we see that especially also a lot with kids with physical abuse or sexual abuse or stuff like that, they are way smaller than they should be for their age, because the growing system and the immune system, they also get sick a lot, is totally stuck or down. There is also too much glutamate, and that's a real problem because it has a neurotoxic effect. What is a neurotoxic effect? It's killing the neurons. And that's putting people in a high risk of dementia because the brain is suffering physically also inside. And so it can also lead to overweight and link to the traumatic memory. And that's the real problem. It's affecting the memory first. And we have a lot amount of dopamine because the body could try to compensate. And so this can lead to aggressivity. And this is also linked to the addiction problem. And yeah, if you have ADHD and PTSD, may God bless you, because you are lacking dopamine when you have ADHD, and if you have PTSD and there is too much dopamine, it's putting you in a high functioning mode, and that's not good. So, and oh, I missed one. Sorry, was too far away. And there is also a huge amount of noradrenaline, where is linked a lot about anxiety, flashback, intrusive thoughts. That is really hard. And it can go on obsessive mode. You have the idea or the event or the sentence or a word that is going forever in your mind, and that won't let you go to sleep and won't let you be attentive, concentrate, etc. So then just a quick word about it, Francois. We won't do it, but you can do it online.
Yeah, this is really, so if you are questioning yourself, and this is the beginning with the book, this is how the work with Bessel van der Kolk started. It's the largest study ever done. I think it's 10,000, over 10, 40,000, I don't remember exactly the number of participants. We can show the questionnaires, the questions.
Yeah, no? I'm trying to find it. Oh, there is a male and female version now.
Here we have it. Okay.
Oh, so you have the link. Okay, good.
The link is there. So the ACE study, you can do the tests. It's really easily done. We don't do it here because for privacy issues and others. It's www.acestudy.org. It's all started in obesity clinic, so where he just realized that most of the clients have trauma, and that's why the obesity programs didn't work. And what are the questions? Yeah, these are the questions. These are 10 questions. You can you can read them. Just it's about the parents and the household, insult, humiliating.
Yeah, you can give yourself a point per questions if you can answer yes.
I'm about at 8, so
I don't remember, but I think I'm 7 or 6, or also 7 or 8, like you.
Yeah. These are also simple things like parent separation, divorce. For a child, it can be trauma. It doesn't have to be, but for several children, that can really can be the beginning of things.
What my is.
So if you have time to read the questions, and if you want to share your score,
let me check again.
Yeah, I think I was 8 or 9. I just can do. I just count which one I don't have. That's easier for me. Okay, I'm 9.
Okay.
I'm 9.
6, 7. Yeah, 7, 8 also. There is one I'm not sure about if I can classify it as a yes, but yeah, I'm 7 or 8.
Yeah. So there's always a reason. That's why also I finished up doing neurofeedback. So there's a reason. So, okay, what does that say? What are the consequences if you suffered from, what was the next thing? If you have a score above 4 or equal 4, you have 2.6 more times to more likely to be a smoker. You have you have more 2.1 chances to have more heart disease, 40 times more likely to use intravenous drugs. So it's
It's not prediction, but
huh?
it's not prediction. It's not,
No,
yeah.
it's a
But
probability. It's statistics.
the prevalence of suffering or having this is increasing because of the PTSD,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But you can be protected.
There's,
They don't have that. So
and there is the one thing which is missing is the thing with the studies. Yeah, yeah, Katarina, cancer. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
because of stress. Stress is oxidative. Oxidative is not good for the human the human cells. But the one thing which is not on the slide is the one that above the salary, the salary and the study, the
Oh yes,
diploma.
I put it for the ADHD subject because it was linked to. But yeah,
Yeah, because the once you have once you experienced and you have a high score above 4, the chances are that you will earn I don't know how much less money than someone who hasn't. So if you are
yeah.
not concerned by this topic, I don't know, you have to pray for or to thank, but it's
Mhm.
it's quite impressive. If you if these if this would be financially measured, the impact of trauma on the society,
Oh
I
yes,
think it's the biggest.
it's costing to
The,
people,
the,
it's
the
costing to
cost of mental
society.
health due to trauma is way more than any other thing, and this is crazy that
Mhm.
it's not more outspoken. The first one who did that was Bessel van der Kolk with his book in 2016.
Yeah.
And I don't get it why it was not more often. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, sorry for I took over.
Yeah, yeah, it's more likely to get cancer, yes, of the oxidative, and it's the trauma can occur the cancer. So I know that doctors are not agree with that, but I encourage them to open some of the study that are made and are leaking a lot of disease to trauma also. What is the most linked is all the how do we the autoimmune disease also. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them can be linked to a trauma in life, in early
So,
life.
so Cyril is asking questions which are not at the level for this communication, this event. This is a professional question, and
You can go on the website and they have everything, the
yeah,
study, the details, the numbers, etc. All
it's a
in
really
detail.
good
It's
one.
open. It's
It's well
open to
done.
check.
I think
So
all the studies Bessel van der Kolk also uses are well done. He's a scientist and he respects the scientific methods, which
mhm.
is not perfect, but which are reliable. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, and it's
we
not
don't go
it's
into
not absolute.
methodology. We
Yeah,
don't go into methodology of these
yeah.
things. Yes, the genetics, but the genetics,
We
I
don't
don't think
understand everything for now. I think
no, and the
we're
genetics
missing
are not
some, but it's not
are not
as strict.
yeah, they're not the absolute truth. The genetic didn't. There was a big hope in genetics to help also developing new treatments. The promise is still not, in my opinion, not has not been achieved. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. It's developing, but I we are we try. I try to do things today, not tomorrow. And I am not a doctor, and I don't work in the genetics field. Okay. Cyril, but maybe if you want to talk more about that, yes, you're free to contact us. Yeah. Great. Just, yeah, the nervous system, Melanie.
You can go through
I
it if
can go?
I know you love the polyvagal theory.
Yes. Okay. So we normally work on the brain, but we don't only work on the brain. We also take care of the major part of the nervous system, which is called the autonomic nervous system. Why is it called autonomic? Because you are not aware what is going on in your intestine, or you cannot control consciously different parts, most of the activities in your body. You can gain a control over your heart by respiration, but not directly. So this is the autonomic nervous system. This is the one who keeps you alive and keeps you there. And then the main part of it, the main part, not the only one, we are not in a biology course here today, but it is an important word. All people concerned with trauma should know about the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is, in fact, could be summarized, it's the interface between the brain and the body. So it's not only controlling the organs, but also getting bottom-up information, what is going on in every organ. And the brain managed that without that you have even noticed it. And then came the polyvagal theory by Stephen Porges, which is a theoretic model, because he is not a clinician. He is an academic researcher, and he found out a few things, and which the clinicians now use to work with. So he told us about three states of the autonomic nervous system. So the first one is the one we should be in. This is when we feel the security, and this is when your ventral vagus nerve, the ventral part of the vagus nerve, because the vagus nerve is called vagus because it's everywhere. It goes from the brain and it goes down the whole body. I think we have an image later on. Is that right, Melanie?
No, I put it there all together because it was too many diapositives.
Okay,
so
we reduced the slides, so but you can do research on vagus nerve. So it's really, really, again, something you need to learn about it, and don't count on the other one. Then the second level, when it's seven way of operating, is when the sympathetic system takes over. And so this is when we are in a perception of danger. So then this is the state where most of the clients, when they come to us, are in. It's an overactivation. Even I call this the Ukrainian state. So if the people, the brains, and the nervous system are in such activation, overactivation, the body thinks it's a fight for life, and this is really leaves lots of imprints on the body. And then you have the third one. This is when you are frozen. This is the other way. So when you're not alert, or you have been alert too long, this is the state where you can't move anymore. So this is when you have been too long in the sympathetic system. Then at one moment the system is exhausted, the whole body, or I don't know which organ it will be for you, but you cannot act anymore. So what you need to do is to go as much as possible into the ventral parasympathetic activation. This is when is that active? This is when you are connecting to people, when you are listening to music, when you are enjoying, when you're intimate with your partner. You have to be in that mode, otherwise it doesn't work. Otherwise it doesn't work. Enjoying music concerts, things like that. There are lots of things you can do. So more on top what we do, because we go directly to the vagus nerve and stimulate it directly, and we talk a little bit about that later on. But these are the three mechanisms. And what is really useful to understand is you cannot gain by your mind the control over this. This controls your mind. It's the opposite. And the people who try to understand and to get control of everything, you cannot control your body. You need to work with your body. You need to accept your body. It's not you who can control the body. If you do that, you will end at what moment here, because you will saturate your energy, and you will spend more than you have. Okay. So this is called the polyvagal theory. Again, this is the second book we recommend. It's also it's not the easiest lecture too, but it's really dense and rich. So yeah. Okay. So
That's your sentence, Francois.
that's my sentence I say every day, because you can only change if you have measured it. Otherwise, you are in the mind rotating. I think that, and is it not like that? No, measure. And what we do every day is we measure the brain. We measure autonomic nervous system. We stimulate it, depending on what you measured first. So going from the subjective, because the subjective, oh, today I feel like this because I did not sleep well, I did drunk too much, I did whatever. So, but that's not a reflection of what is going on in your body. This is how you feel it. So we need to measure it. And the most traumatized people, they under evaluate their symptoms because they live with that since years. And just only
Yes.
when they come to the end, when it doesn't work anymore, when you're in the last state of the polyvagal theory, then they consult, especially the men, or in case of extreme burnout. So what is the difference? Because the traditional, we already saw, they often misdiagnosed the PTSD or complex PTSD, which is if there has been more than one trauma, if it has been repetitive, then we talk about CPTSD. Um, what is proposed is medication. The problem is, okay, it's not one. There is no medication for PTSD. They will give you something to sleep. Then, because of the anxiety, maybe add an anxiolytic. Then, because of the sadness, to regulate the mood, an antidepressant. And if you are lucky, then the three will fit together and maybe they work. But this is symptom treatment, not going to the cause. It is really more useful if sometimes you need medications to get stabilized, or if you're a mother and you have a child to take care, you have to function somehow. But they are not a solution, because in the long term, these medications will bring you side effects. Um, and if they work, this is the first thing, because often traumatized people have a strange reaction. For example, if you send them into relaxation, their nervous system will say, "Hey, that's dangerous if I'm relaxed." So they go in overactivation. That you need to be aware and how to take care of that. So the order that the psychologists and psychotherapists offer is really useful, like psychotherapy, which will be soon reimbursed in Luxembourg. Um,
Yeah. Ooh,
yeah, yeah.
finally.
Hypnosis can be useful. EMDR specifically has really been uh, uh, um, useful in EMDR. In my opinion, not always, because sometimes people are not ready, because you need to reconfront with the traumatizing events. Or, for example, what I think EMDR doesn't, that's my opinion. I'm not officially trained in EMDR. I learned EMDR, but I'm not officially certified in EMDR. But what I learned is, for example, if you have a trauma which is pre-verbal, before you had language, then you cannot access it with the words. So you need to work with other things. And there comes, for example, yoga. Bessel van der Kolk talks a lot about yoga. And he compares when you yoga, for example, with what we do here with the neurotechnology, neurofeedback. He says yoga is a bottom up, because you go from the body, learn to self-regulate, and you go up to the brain. And neurofeedback is exactly opposite. It's a top-down approach. So you learn by regulating the brain. And again, what is the main key takeaway or takeaway as this book is, you need to work on several things to get a good result. And the last part is how to work on the body parts. Yoga is something, but there are also things like somatic experiencing, where not a lot of practitioners are there. One in Luxembourg I know who does good work, and two, TBRE, which is traumatic breath work release. I did both. It's really not easy to do. but it's worse. So, and then what we do, and
Francois, can I let you keep going for a bit? I need a bathroom break because drinking
yes,
is good,
so
but I want
I
the
think I
balance
know
with end.
I know what to do.
So keep going.
Okay, so the neurotechnologies. First, why I like them and why I find them really not I but also the science find them really uh, effective because we go to the source. We don't go to the cause of your problems, but we go to the source. The source is the brain and the nervous system. We got direct effect, not a day later, not 6 hours later, direct. That is the problem. For example, a typical example of what a traumatized person would say is, "Oh, I cannot say how if I feel different because they don't feel it, because the connection between the mind and the body is cut. They are in the head, they're analyzing, but they don't feel. And if I ask specific questions, it's really hard for them. And this is one of the things. So there are no or few side effects. There are thousands of studies about neurofeedback, thousands of study of because we use more than our name is neurofeedback, but we show you a little bit. Now we first explain the neurofeedback, and then we show you also some other things, just to give you an idea of what we do. So, what is neurofeedback? Neurofeedback is based on the EEG, the electroencephalography. This is the electrical activity of the brain. So this is the you see here this cap with the green electrodes. This is what we put every day since 10 years. I put that every day on the head of people. I think I counted over 15,000 sessions. I tried to estimate. So we do that every day. We do that every session. We need a full cap. So what does that say? What is that? Um, so it's painless. It's not intrusive. It's only measuring these electrodes on your head. It's like microphones who are listening what your brain does, and um, so listening in what your brain does. And what we see is a typical example of a really stressed person. um, and then we learn a lot. There are a lot of information in that, so we cannot read the mind, but we can say sometimes more than you think. So the neurologists uses the EEG for diagnostics. We don't do diagnostics. First, because of a lot of diagnostic. I'm not a fan of the DSM-5. I don't see any interest in that. And I see often diagnoses who don't correspond to what we see in the brain, and I don't want to put labels on it. We use the words, but we don't put labels on it. So the EEG is often used in a differential diagnosis. So the neurologist typically uses the EEG for lesions, tumors, inflammation, all the things you don't want to have. Okay. So, but what we use is not the EEG, we use quantitative EEG. So quantitative means we use this. These are the five most important gamma is missing brain waves we use. It goes from the really slow waves which we are doing in the deep sleep. Oh, the generator is not anymore on on the thing here because it
What
is
is missing?
the generator of the EEG. It's really interesting.
Yeah, there is not enough space,
Ah, okay, okay. So this
so
is
it's not
generated in the
readable.
brainstem, if I'm right. So, and the delta when we are born as children, children come with delta, and then the brain goes through maturation, acquires the other brain waves. The delta is quite irregular. This is how delta looks. Um, Normally we have it in the top. The delta is a reflection of how you rest, how you learn to rest, but not only. There are a lot of other things you can do. Second thing is the theta. Theta is the one for the ADHD, the concentration problem, but also on the positive part, it's also for creativity, it's dreaming, and it's memory. But so if it's memory, it's also of concern for trauma. Yes. These and then comes the mother of all brainwaves, which is called alpha. Alpha, maybe I've heard about alpha waves. You find a lot of alpha meditations, things like that on YouTube. It's yeah, that's a bit simplification, but alpha is in fact the idle rhythm of the brain. When the brain does nothing, it goes into alpha. But if you're in alpha state, that corresponds when you're state when you are awake, but um, you are not aware and you're not communicating with your surroundings, and you don't analyze. You're just connected to yourself. So someone who is meditating, and alpha has this nice shape. They look so symmetrical. You know when they are, and typically one of the typical presentation of traumatized brains is either diminished alpha or too much alpha, which is two complete different symptom presentation. The first one is not being able to do nothing, not being able to relax. And the second one is called dissociation. When you have too much alpha, really above your whole brain, then you are not there anymore. And this is a shutdown, what the body does to not feel and what's going on. So, yeah. So, and then we are to the next beta. These are the beta waves. This is when you are connected to the outside world. I hope now you're all in beta state, not something else, because then you are focused, you are mental, you can analyze, you can make conclusions and things like that. And the last one, this one is specifically for the PTSD people. Oh, we have a visitor.
Yeah, always. She always needs
Okay.
attention
This is
because she's
called the
a
high beta. This
focus.
is the hypervigilance. I call this the Ukraine waves also. So if you're before I used Syria or whatever, this is when your brain thinks it's about life or death. So and they are these brain waves, you recognize them really much. So and this tells us what you do. And when we take a recording all of these brainwaves and we make an analysis, and we have databases, that's why you call the QEEG. We know what is a normal alpha for an 8 years old or a normal alpha for an 60 years, which is completely different. So we have databases in real time where we see what the brain does or not, and how does that relate to the symptoms why you came. Pity we don't have the chance to measure it. Yes, right now, no, we cannot measure it right now. We have the tools. We have the tools, but you should come to us.
Yeah.
Yes. So and the scale here, because we will show you a few of these images, which is important, is a normal brain is wide. I never have seen a normal brain in 2,000 brains, but um, this is a comparison with the norm, the reference. So if it's blue, these are standard deviations. So normal is plus minus one, but we look at regarding starting from -2 or +2. The direction is not important. Overactivation or underactivation, it's the localization, localization, localization. And then if we are reaching 3 standard deviations, so you have deep blue or deep red, then you're complete outside. This is not good. So anyway, okay. So yeah, this is one we put the FAQ a little bit earlier in the presentation, so we don't have to. Yes, thank you, Vera, and see you maybe. So why do we need to do this QEG before doing neurofeedback? Because we need a map of how you use your brain, and all our trainings are personalized. So everyone, if we do even the same network, same brain network, with 10 of our clients, the values, and when we train a network, we train about 1,000 values, and the values are always personalized. So we have a lot of people coming also just out of curiosity to see how does my brain work? What is it capable of doing? Because we will tell you a lot about how you use your brain, not what you do, but how you do it. So, and then you're not forced to do neurofeedback after. How long to get to results? Actually, 1 week is not true. It's more 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Uh, are there contraindications? No. Apart if you have a metal part in your head, we cannot do the evaluation. Not the yeah. There's a few things. At the age limitation, no, we start at the age of 5, but I did also some evaluations of babies before, but it's not to do neurofeedback. But yeah. Why 5 or 6? Because that's when they are able to sit still, and because we need the electrical activity of the brain, not the muscle. Is it covered by the national health system? Is it reimbursed? No. Is it covered by the mutual insurance company? Ask your information organization. Yeah. Because we have too many appointments actually.
Yeah, and only 24 hours a day.
Yes. Yeah. It's good for us, but not good for our clients. Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing we can measure, and this is more directly the nervous system, not the brain. This is we measure the heart, and by taking an electrocardiogram, exactly like the cardiologist does, but we have another analysis. We use the heart rate variability. Why? Because the heart rate variability, just to give you an info, if you are in ICU intensive care unit, if they monitor one measurement to see if you will survive or not, this is it. Because everything is in this. If someone is going to, when you see all the films, the things, it's the heartbeat and how the heart beats. It's not the polysomnography, but you can really have good measurements. Not doing the 5 minutes measurements, we do a 24-hour. So you get these 2 electrodes, you take a journal of your activity, and then we will tell you your biological age, how old your body is, and how you use your nervous system. And this is, and with quite fantastic also recommendations, which sport, how intensive, what you should do and what not. So um, good. So yeah, this really, once you have the recording of your brain and your heart, you don't need to talk. I don't know what you do, but I know exactly how you live your life. Then this is quite amazing. Um, so then, okay, this is for the measurement, but you want a solution. You want to treat, because when you measure, you don't change. But we start with a measurement and then we change. What is the neurofeedback? So I go on, Melanie. Huh? You don't say anything.
As
You
you
don't
want,
stop
you
me.
can give me
Okay.
the
Okay.
talk when you're tired.
Okay, I will tell you. So what we do is we measure the brain waves of electrical signal. So it's a training. It's not I prefer the word training because it's like going to the gym. I often say we are the brain gym. So the people come to us. We measure the brain. We have before that we haven't done the cartography, the brain map, and so we know what needs to be trained. We selected a target. Then the target is then translated comparison to the reference, the database I mentioned before. Oh, too much, not enough. Is the high beta going? If the high beta, so the stress waves, if they're going up, the screen gets dark and the sound gets dimmed. If the brain relaxes, then the image will be clear. So it's like educating a dog. Good behavior reward, bad behavior punishment. Punishment here in this case is just a dimming of the light and of the sound, so you can watch it. For the person, you cannot control it. It's an implicit learning. It's an operant conditioning. You only watch the film. Your brain gets 30 times per minute the information. Do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. So for you, it's like if you watch a film on a movie with a bad contact, something like that. But it is not. So the brain doesn't like these changes. So it's the brain who change, because I have no idea how to change your brain. But your brain knows how. And if I tell him 30 times per minute, don't do this, 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 he will not do it. He will try to do something else. No effort required. It's not a conscious effort. the brain corrects itself. The brain has fantastic self-healing capabilities. And what we do with neurofeedback and the neurostimulation is we reactivate them. Okay. So then the neurostimulation, that was the keyword. So the neurofeedback is when the brain learns by itself to retrain, to readapt to what it needs to be done. But we have also neurostimulation, which is really specific. I don't know anyone few hundred kilometers around who uses the technologies we use. So what we do is we stimulate the brain with what we do. Example, an over-aroused brain in the hypervigilance, which is too fast, we will stimulate it with slow waves. Then what will do the brain? The brain will try to mimic, to adapt to what we gave. So the brain synchronizes and it slows down. And then afterwards, the stimulation, then we do the neurofeedback because the brain has been in the alpha state. And then it's easier for the brain to get back to the train. Before, he doesn't know what we want and where we want to go. But because of the neurostimulation, it's easy. So what is neurostimulation? We use four modalities. In fact, there are four. The first one is the magnetic. So it is not the TDC, the TMS, the power where you force the depolarization of the brain. These are magnets who have the strengths of less than your iPhone, but we have the control of the frequency. We know which frequency, where to apply what. We use them on the brain, on the body. We have the electrical stimulation. It's not the electroshocks. It's less than a 9-volt battery, but we can impact the brain on the direction of the flow and also on the frequency. So few minutes of stimulating the brain before starting, it's fantastic. The third one, which is the last one we added, which is this is the topic for the next years, and this is crazy what it does. It's the called photobiomodulation. So it's a helmet, like a bike helmet, with over 280 LED diodes with infrared light. So it's like a tanning for the brain, but it's more than tanning, because this goes directly at a cellular level. It generates energy. It puts the brain in a neuroplastic state. It reduces the inflammation. It reduces the oxidation, and you don't feel anything. And with this one, there's no side effect. No, exactly zero. And then the fourth stimulation, yes, thank you. This is the sound, Safe and Sound, which is directly a product designed by Stephen Porges, the author of the polyvagal theory, where we use the sound through a specific app, which is only available through therapeutes or trainers like we, because you cannot use that on your own. It's too powerful, because this uses the audio circuit to go on directly act on the vagus nerve to self-regulate it, and we have fantastic results. We use this with almost all our clients, and especially we use it when clients are too far away or when they are too young. We use that. We had several crying babies or really young children, which we only did that. It's a program of 40 times a half an hour listening with headphones, and it's really powerful. And this is one of the most things. When does it not work? Because nothing works for everyone. Neurofeedback, the biggest risk in our job is, because we work on the brain, we think we can treat everything, we can help everyone. And no. When does it not work? When it's not good? The first thing, it's always the user fault, the non-compliancy. We have give you a lot of information when you start with us. You have to read them and you have to apply them. If you don't, you will have side effects. These are really so much things that we cannot tell them here because we made documents about that. I think we'll make one day a video just about what needs to be done. The first thing is you need to drink 1 liter water more when you come to us. No alcohol, no caffeine, just before the session because it is
Yes.
counterproductive. The one that is, so if you are not compliant, if you don't come regularly, if you are not in time here, if you don't respect the screen time, the sugar consumption, and all these things we about life hygiene, it will not work, or you will have to come more often. We like to see you, but we like to see often new people. So we need challenges. We don't want to see you longer than it needed.
Yeah.
The second part is too many medications. If people come to us and they have to bring a paper with all the medications written on, then it's not that it doesn't work, but every medication with psychoactive medication constrains the brain, so takes out the neuroplasticity, the learning effects. But we helped a lot people to reduce their medications, and we know also a few doctors who are not into too much medications. And the metal plates in the school, which just then we cannot do our things. Because okay. We also don't work with, but this is our restriction because for safety, we don't work with non-treated, non-regulated bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. Apart from that, we almost work with everyone. So, can I hand it over to you, Melanie?
Yeah, no problem.
Yes.
So we just wanted to show you what you can not experience because you're not there, but what we can obtain with sessions. So that's one example, and I've choose one that is I would say severe, the worst, I guess.
A hardcore example. This is a
Yeah,
hardcore
because
example.
it's more easier for people that are not used to reading EEG and QEG stuff. It's more visibly understandable. So this is an example of a really, really severe case. The doctor was totally lost. He sent this young man to us because he was like, I don't know what to do. So try to do something about that, please, because I'm stuck with this young guy. But the problem was there was a lot of body harm, self-harm, and high risk of suicide. So it was really, really tense. But there was a lot of motivation from this young guy, so we were able to do something. So that's a little bit of the result we will give you, because all the result, it took almost 2 hours to give you back, and we have more than 15 pages of stuff to show you, and it's not all that what we see and analyze. So there's a lot of stuff, but for example, that's the most easy. I will put my mouse on. Okay. So what we see here, Francois talked about the brainwave here, and there is also the dysregulation, the norm here. So we see there is a huge increase of the slow brainwave delta and theta. So that's the sign of a brain that is totally slowed down in its functioning and also developmental state. It can be stuck if it's a young guy. So there can be some learning issue and stuff like that. And also it's the sign of trauma here. And also what we see is that the theta and alpha brainwaves are the more present on the left corner of the brain here. That's a sign of what doctors diagnosed as a depression, severe depression. Normally we saw it only in the alpha brainwave, but the more you go on this side having too much brainwave, the longer you have this depression. Alpha is more now.
Because the brain keeps the score when that happens. So if you have been depressed already in the womb of your mother, so during pregnancy, the depression will be shown up in delta.
Mm-hmm.
If the depression is actual, it will show up in delta, in alpha, or in high beta, in the opposite.
Yeah, on the opposite side, when your brain is trying to get out of the depression, it tries to overactivate the other side to compensate.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have different. There is different
Patterns.
way to see some of the symptoms. Different. It's like every diagnosis, like ADHD. There is not one specific QEG. It's not always a lack of theta and a too much
Nine
too much
types.
theta, or a lack of I beta and beta. Because, for example, Francois and me were both diagnosed with ADHD, but it's not looking the same in our brain. Francois is the typical brain that you will see in the books when you study neurofeedback. He has a high theta here and a lack of beta, but for me, it's not my case at all. And that explains also why I would not maybe react good to medication, for example, because if you give me Ritalin as I have too much beta, I won't be really happy, but it's helping Francois. So that's important.
This is a pity that the EEG is not more often used, for example, by the doctors, by the general practitioners, or by the psychiatrist, because the EEG could give them which medication will work with that brain. Instead of trying, they could use it. That they don't do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
there is one in Italy.
Yeah, we know few one, but I don't know anyone in
That's the one I know.
in Luxembourg.
That is using a GP using in QEG for medication. So yeah, that's an example. And we also have the vigilance state here, too much I beta in the central part of the brain, and also on these electrodes, that is FZ. And it's not good to have this one because it's
Obsessive.
when the brain is obsessive also. And
this is the anterior cingulate playing tennis with the posterior cingulate. This is the obsessive compulsive repetition, and you cannot stop it.
Yeah.
This leads to addiction. This leads to a lot of
yeah. And also we can see rumination about the past event here on T5, and the worrying on here, a little bit worrying on the T6.
So this is a case. This one could get at least 4 or 5 definitions, diagnostics.
Yeah.
Sure, there is depression, there is anxiety, there is obsessivity, there is sleep problem. What else? I don't remember all the things.
Yeah, it was seen by several
not the right one. It's about trauma. It's about trauma.
Yeah. And so there is also some numbers and a score we can see about the relaxation state and the mood state, and see which what is suffering from. Like, that's more on probability. That's what was talking Francois, how your brain can react. And he was totally, everything was like yes. A lot of excessive self-concern. He was feeling I don't know why he was having so much culpability, but we don't need to know the why. The fact was that it was inside that. A lot of rumination, anger, self-depreciation was so high. I haven't seen that in my life. The auto-destruction was high. And yeah, restless, and he started to be totally disconnected from his body and was unable to say if he's happy, if he's sad, if he's tired, if he's energetic. It was totally impossible for him.
Ask him a question and the answer was silence.
Yeah, no question, no answer possible, and not a quick one, and it was
not accurate anyway. There's a question from Claire. Why is the reason that doctors are not using more EEGs? This is the question I ask myself every day. No, it's not.
I don't know.
It's not about the costs. EEG is not cheap, but it's cheap compared to other technologies, which are the scanner, IRM, the
fMRI and IRM are way
all the other things which are done. They are way more expensive. But it's not sexy anymore. It's not sexy because it's an old technology. Even in research, you don't get funding if you do a research based on EEG. You have to be a superstar to get funding in the US, at least, to get funding. It's what all our colleagues are telling us. But if you do the same study and we do IRM, so scanner, no, IRM, no.
fMRI?
fMRI, yeah. You use fMRIs, you will get the money.
Yeah, because it's sexy.
I don't know. It's not about the cost. It's not cheap, but it's cheap compared to all the other technologies.
I think I have the impression they are not trusting the EEG, even if it's
No, they need to
scientifically.
learn it, and you need to read it. We read every day
Yeah,
to be
they
able
don't
to.
have time, maybe.
No, they don't have the time to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was the result. So with this severe case, it was almost an obligation to do 20 sessions to first settle down this poor guy. And he was also doing the SSP at home. So he was totally able to get a job, finish the study, get a job.
Yes, because he was not able to go to school or work before.
Yeah, he
Again.
was totally like, I know we don't like normal, but able to function like nothing has happened in his life. And I'm really happy. I've got some of news a few months ago after a presentation. So Antoine, if you're here, but he was really, really happy to say that, thank you. And everything's going good for me. Even I think it was 4 years ago he was there. Yeah. I don't remember exactly, 4 or 3 years
It was
ago.
one of the heavy cases we ever had.
Yeah, he was really happy. And yeah, so you see the objective when we do KEEG and your feedback is not to get a white brain everywhere. That's why I chose this one also, because a white brain everywhere is impossible first, and it's not a good sign. We sometimes get people coming here and having symptoms and a list and huge things, and the brain on the first EEG is almost white. And that is scaring us because it's not a good start for later. It's when the brain, there is the case, there is too much medication. It's a chemical camisole for the brain, so it's masking everything when there is too much, or when the denial or the protection is so strong that it's blocking all the signal and try to look, the brain is trying to look, nothing to see here, normal. But the problem is when we will start to touch it, all the symptoms will get out. So sometimes when we see that the person is not ready for that and not prepared, not very, don't 100% to do it, we prefer to refuse it and wait that is ready for that.
We could resume this. If we don't see in the brain the problems why you are coming to us, then it's not sure that we are a good fit. So
yeah,
if that does not match. Yesterday I assisted also a webinar from a professional who works with Ruth Lanius, who showed me a nice diagram. If you are interested, I can show you. What could you expect as a traumatized person? What could be the result of doing neurofeedback? I try to. I'm really bad at drawing, but I will show you.
So you want me to go for it?
This is the arousal. So this is the arousal. So, and during a day, you have. Okay, I choose to change the color. I go into orange. So during the day, you start under aroused. Something happened. Wow, you go up, and then you go down. This is a normal person. So. And you have mixes of you're excited, you go down, etc. How does a traumatized person function? And that's getting interesting. A traumatized person has not the same color. I tried another one, the blue one. The traumatized person has a really limited way of functioning. Like it's between the two lines, because not enough stimulation. They will not work well. They will procrastinate. They will freeze. They will not do it. Then they start doing, okay, it's fine, but a little bit too much, and they are overstimulated, and they cannot function. They can't do anything. Okay, so here they are not acting. They again freeze, but for another reason, freeze. But okay, then they come down. They can act again. They can work. Okay, then they're understimulated. Boom, they sleep. They fall to sleep, or they concentrate, etc. And what we are doing with the neurofeedback is, and I like this, is we extend the range of when you function. So it's not about healing the trauma. The trauma, we cannot erase what happened, but by putting these levels of resilience uh, far away, more away, but then you most of your life you will be fine. Sometimes there will be things, even after being trained everything, you will be overwhelmed, but you will get back faster and you can
Yeah.
manage 80-90% of whatever is coming
Or you
before.
trigger when not so triggering again, and
Yeah.
you won't react as high as normally, and it won't disturb you for days. For example, for me, there was sometimes an idea or a conversation or
A
something.
call from a certain person from your
Oh
family.
my goodness. And there was, I go for a week, stomach ache, not able to concentrate,
Yeah.
not able to sleep, feeling bad, shaming myself, just a phone call, just a name on a phone. And it was disturbing me for 1 or 2 weeks. No, I see, okay, the attack. Yeah, okay, go, bye. Yeah, that's not my problem. It's not my fault. And I can eat, I can sleep,
Um,
not bothering me anymore.
okay, so I hope you loved my drawing, my
Perfect.
art. No. Okay, if you want to how do we work? If you want to stay to work with us, there are a few things. The first thing is you get information. You're assisted here, but if you have more personal questions, which you could not ask here, then take a free consultation by phone. The link will be is on the chat. So that's the first step. So just is it right for me? What do you think? What so on.
Yeah, and
Then
we can check if neurofeedback is for you now or
yes,
not, or maybe something
we,
else,
we,
or
we
it's
know
better.
that quite fast. So
Yep.
yeah. Then the first thing is we do the initial assessment, the measurement. We measure the brain with or without the heart. If the sleep, if the autonomous, if you have body symptoms, then I really recommend at the HRV, the electrocardiogram, 24-hour measurement to see what's going on in the nervous system. Um, so this consists of the first, you take the appointment, you come to us, you bring your information, we record your brainwave, we talk with you, then you go home, you do a whole battery of neurocognitive tests, not an IQ test, but we test the 12 basic functions of the brain. We ask you a lot of questions. You have 1.5 hours at home. Then once we got the answer, you can we fix the appointment to meet you either online or physically here in our office, where we go over the results, which is quite. This is one of my favorite moments because most of the people find it insightful. Often it's not what they expected, but it's interesting. Okay, then we have measured. We still didn't have anything changed. Then you start training, and when you start training, you have to make an engagement. You have to engage for 10 sessions because it's a program we do, and it's not like, oh, I can do a session and then I don't come 6 months and then I come again. The 10 sessions have to be, normally rhythm is once per week, but we have sometimes we have to adapt depending on what we know, depending on medication, depending on other things. Then after the 10, we do the stimulation. And if you look into studies in the literature, normally studies say, oh, to have an effect, neurofeedback, you need 30 to 40 sessions. We don't need that. Rarely. Sometimes we need it, but most often we don't need
It's
that.
very rare.
Really rare for epilepsy, for seizures, for
Mhm.
heavy complex PTSD. Yes, you need that. If you're taking a lot of medication, or also for AVC,
Stroke.
stroke. Yeah, for
Yeah,
stroke. Yeah,
all what is organic
yeah.
is way more session than something like anxiety or sleep or ADHD, or because the brain structure is damaged, so it needs more time.
Why do we need less sessions? Because of the stimulation. Because we pair it. Because it works. Yeah. The session is 1 hour. You don't come late because we need every minute of that hour. Every minute is needed.
Yeah.
And we need, because we need at several level. Yes.
Yeah, that's step.
And then after the 10 sessions or the number of sessions you book, sometimes I can tell you in advance, 15 session will be 10 session will be enough, you need 15 or 20 depending. And then okay, after that we do again the same test, the same assessment, we measure again, we compare. You have fixed your goals you want to achieve, and you also you have written down in the contract before, when at step one, at the beginning of step two, you have fixed your goals and the conditions how you will see that you met your goals, your objectives.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
really important.
we do then after we do sit again around the table, and we talk, how was it for you, what worked, what didn't work, how fast, what the outcome, whatever. And by the way, if you want to have an idea, maybe Melanie, you can put the link for our customer reviews. We
Yeah.
have a lot of nice customer reviews, really good ones, um,
I'm
uh,
looking for
because we
that.
started a new program, fidelity program. If you are a customer and you leave us a review, whatever you say, you get a session for free. Yeah.
Can
The
I
costs, I will come to it.
the link?
I can do it if you.
Yeah, I think it's the good one. But as I'm part of the organization, I don't know if it's
Yes.
good.
Wait. Okay.
I think
Yeah. Here it is.
I will put the link so people can see
Yeah.
the price.
We,
So you
we
have
get a,
here the link.
we get a few nice ones. Titus, from the one from Titus or from Sandy, really nice reviews. So yes. Okay. So follow up and maintenance. Keep in touch. We see sometimes we don't like when people, we like to see our clients again, but we don't like it too much, because if they come too much, they're not doing well. So yes, no news is good news in our case. So what is the cost? The first step is always the QEG, the assessment. So for those who assisted here, we have a code when you go on a website and you reserve your spot to make the assessment. When you enter the code PTSD 2023, you have a reduction of €100. So what is the actual price? Because the price changed again. So
It's normally the full. Yeah, sorry, I didn't put the price. It's 495,
I will go to
and so
the.
less, and you take €100 from that, so it's 395. I will write it down.
So it's Service pour adult, 495. So that is the
Yeah.
2 appointments plus the analysis. So, and if you enter PTSD 2023, you get it for 395. Okay. And then
Yeah, it's for all of that together.
okay. And then
But
what
this
was
step
the
is
training?
really important.
Huh?
This step is really important, please, for us. I would love people
Yes, that
to
people will fill
take
out.
their
Yes,
time
we are.
before
Yes, what is
booking, because
important
if you
here
made a
is,
mistake, it's hard, it's a nightmare for us. Please
yeah, we
consider
we have
that.
we see approximately between 40 and 60 clients a week. So all our appointments are made in self-service. So you have no secretary to call. Oh, I cannot come tomorrow. I can change it. You do it your own, because otherwise we would need, I think, 1 or 2 person full time just to take care of the appointments.
Yeah.
So it's self-service. So for the brain map, you have to pay to get it. But you have to pay to validate your with credit card and so on. For the sessions, you can count around, it's €160 per session if you book a package. If you book one session, which I really don't see a sense in any way to book one session, because you need to do 10 at least, then the cost is around 200. We don't encourage you. We want you to plan the all the needed appointments directly. We can offer you. Uh,
Engagements.
we can, yes. You have to, you have to engage yourself. You have to,
Mhm.
yeah. If you are not sure, then maybe it's not the moment. No problem. When you are ready, we will be there. Yeah, if you want to book one session, it's around 200 euro. If you book 10 sessions, it's around 160 per session.
Yeah, it does not make any
It
sense to do a session.
doesn't make any sense. We don't want tourists. Sorry.
Tourists.
Yeah. Okay. And the follow-up sessions. Yeah, the follow-up sessions. The price of the sessions, it depends on the number of sessions you take. It's between
Yeah.
160 and 200. It's all on our website. You can see the prices.
There is no change if you take now and then follow it because it's a service, so the price is fixed.
Yeah.
For that.
Okay. Next webinar. It's coming soon. It's the 9th February. It's about autism. Why do we do that? Because I think we have a real wave of autism.
Oh my
clients,
goodness!
actually.
Yes.
I don't know what happened, but yeah. And neurofeedback is, I think, one of the most powerful things about autism. But yeah, we don't put diagnosis, but we sometimes tell our clients, have you ever read a little bit information about what is Asperger or what is autism? Because we think this could interest you. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's interesting. Just please you have to register and you will get it. Here for your information, these are the 2 books you need to read.
We
From
were
Stephen
talking
Porges,
about.
there are also other ones. This one is the smallest one because he's an academician. He's a researcher. That's not easy. This one I recommend it to everyone. This is really, really good. Yes, and please do us a favor. If you are watching this live, go to our YouTube channel, like our channel, subscribe to our channel, and like our videos. If you are watching on replay, down below, like and subscribe, please.
Yeah.
It will
Don't
help us.
forget to write down your question. Now we're getting to the end, so we'll love to answer your questions about everything about neurofeedback and when we can help you to understand or how it's working, because I see interesting questions. How long lasting are the effects usually?
Oh, the best effects you have 6 months after you stopped. So because the brain still modifies, so and the effects last, but it depends. We are no insurance against life incidents. So if you go out and hit your head against a wall, or you have a ski accident like Michael Schumacher, sorry, the effects maybe are gone. But
it won't protect you about suffering. But for other stuff, if there is not case like a huge TBI or stroke, nothing should get back on the other side. It should stay that way because it's how the brain should work and should be. And so, you will be able to handle much more in your life than before. That's the main gain I have now. So I don't know how to explain that, because it's a special experience what you're experiencing during a session. Special feeling. It's hard to describe, but I'm not pushing myself in state I was before because I don't want to. So I'm protected. When I feel I'm getting a little bit a step closer to my limit that is there, I'm like, what can I do to act on that and to release the pressure and not fall again in a chronic state of anxiety? So it's a real protection, resilience maker. So I've had hard events after neurofeedback. I lost my mom and other stuff, and so it triggers some PTSD, some events, some things of your life. It's hard when you lose someone, and it has affected me, but I was not so down. I was able to manage this event as peacefully as you can when you're sad. But it was, I don't know how to explain. I was sad, but it was healthy. Yeah, a healthy way to get through events like that. So it was not a problem to sleep. So I was able to still manage to function even if it was hard. So
We have one question more to answer. What is the total cost if you do the brain map and the 10 sessions and so on?
Yes,
It's not about the money, it's
we have a
about
package
resource.
for that. If you go into package, I
No, but
think.
I want to answer
No?
the question just. I want to answer the question. How is the total cost? Brain map, 10 sessions, and the SSP, you are a little bit above 2,000 euro. But we can
Oh, we
offer
forgot
you,
something,
huh?
François.
Huh?
We have mensuality. We
Yeah,
forgot to tell
but
people.
2,000 euro, but you can pay in several monthly
I
payments.
think it's up to 5 or 6 months. You can
So
separate
that
the payment.
takes down the costs. So
Yeah.
the price is the same, but it's easier to manage. Yeah,
Yeah, you don't need to pay all of that like no cash directly. No, no, no. We know it's a budget to invest, but I think that mental health is more important than
yeah,
other stuff. But yeah, if you are motivated, if you want to work on you, if you want to discover, to understand you easier or better, and that money is a problem, we always found the solution. So don't hesitate to talk about that with us. We have
yeah,
no problem about that.
yeah.
So any
Okay,
questions still? I see someone is
I
writing something down.
I
You need
think they are all
there for
going.
you again.
We finished them. We finished them. We
Yeah.
talked a lot. It's above 2 hours. Come on.
Yeah,
No, no,
it was
almost two
fast.
hours.
No, I wasn't so
Yeah.
wasn't so long in my
Okay.
mind.
By the ONE. No, not yet.
No,
No.
unfortunately, wait like 2,000 years, and maybe neurofeedback will be considered
If
because
psychotherapy is yet not reimbursed, then
yeah,
we have 10
yeah.
years to wait before. Okay. How long is the waiting period before you can start? Oh, I think tomorrow,
Let's
no,
check.
1 week. 1 week, I would say
I
1 week.
think less. Yeah, depends your availability
Yeah,
because
if you
we're
can come in the
open.
morning, it's
Yeah,
easy. If you want to come in the late in the evening, it's
it's
hard.
hard. We are open 7 a.m. to almost 9 p.m. almost every day. I think there is just 1 or 2 days that we're not open like
Thank
that.
you,
But
Danka. Yes, it's always a good idea to check the brain because we check our cars, our computers, but we don't check our brain. I think it's more
I read
important.
an interesting study about that, Francois. Was made in France. I don't know who it was. I saw it on LinkedIn. I saved it. They made a study about how people understand how they are working, how their health problems are linked to certain organ in the body. So, for example, people were really aware that smoking cigarette was linked to cancer in the lungs. But most of the time, about anxiety, about vision problem, about some stuff, the brain was like considered by 2% of people being the problem in anxiety, or the cause, I would say. And so people are totally disconnected from the chief of everything. Everything is there. It's the chief, and we're not looking at it to get a better health, and we're not taking care of it, and we're not giving him good water and good food. And yeah, we're really bad with him. And he's
Yes,
still doing his job. We're very
but
lucky.
you know, Melanie, what is missing? We don't have an owner's manual for the brain.
Yeah.
We come with the most sophisticated organ or system in the universe because it's as complex as the whole universe, but we didn't get the owner's manual, how to feed it, how
Yeah.
to treat it, how to repair it. We should write this owner's manual.
Yeah.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
it's time to go. Thank you very much for assisting, and hope to see you if you need us. And otherwise, if you don't need us, we're also happy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Better like
good.
that.
Thank you very much, and
Okay,
bye.
have a nice evening, and yeah, don't. Oh, I forget to write down the email. Also, please don't write to our personal
No,
neurofeedback address, because if someone is busy of the team, if someone is sick, and we can miss your email, I would love to prefer you wrote down to this one. Let me write it down for you. Up. Because if you wrote down your question to that, everybody in the team get it, and so there is always someone that is able to answer if you have something.
yeah,
So yeah, that's better
I
always.
got too much email. Sorry, I am not responding fast.
Yeah, Francois is good at 1,000 stuff, but not answering emails.
Yep. Yep.
He's too busy for that. But
Okay,
that's why we are a team.
I stopped the stream from Facebook and we stopped
Oh yeah,
also.
it gets response. I need to stop it also.